And we're back at the 2025 InsurTech Connect conference in Las Vegas. And who am I speaking with?
You're speaking with Phillip McGriskin. I'm the founder, chief exec of Vitesse.
Okay. What is Vitesse?
Vitesse is a global insurtech, and we're all about underpinning the financial infrastructure, bringing together all the dislocated parties in the insurance ecosystem so they can operate more efficiently.
Yeah. So I had the fortune of meeting Vitesse this year a few times. I actually spoke at one of my conferences, so I know a little bit about them. Initially, when I first saw them, I was like, "Are you guys a payments company?" And they're like, "No, not really." And then I heard a use case, which I'm hoping you can recreate for us, about a UK insurer where you were able to sort through, I think, hundreds of TPAs and essentially find, I think, $90 million of funds that were just kind of dangling out there, unbeknownst,
That's right.
unreconciled. Can you tell us that use case?
Yeah, absolutely. So we initially went into the insurance industry to talk about payments. And the insurance industry, I think, were accepting of the fact that they weren't really optimally set up for payments. But they have a bigger problem around the payment, which is making sure that the money is in the right place at the right time to make those payments. And the reason that problem exists is because in the insurance industry, you've got quite a lot of complexity that comes through it. You've got the carriers at the top, and then you've got the claimants at the bottom, where the money leaves the market in the form of claims paid. But quite often, in fact, in about half the cases, it's not the carrier that's paying those funds out. It's going through some form of delegation. Yeah. So it could be a third-party administrator, a claims handler, a solicitor, or whatever. And in order to make that work more efficiently, the carriers will put a pot of funds with each of these delegated parties so that every time a request for a payment comes in, they don't have to go up to the mothership and say, "Can I have $400? They just pay it out of the loss fund. Yeah. So what you'll have is a carrier that's got a range of different TPAs that they're working with. Each of those TPAs will have a bucket of funds for an individual year of account or a specific type of insurance, and it's a challenge for the carrier and the TPA to keep those funds reconciled. So over the course of years, those funds will become out of whack. We'll go to the carrier and say, "Let's help you find those funds." So we work with the carrier and the TPAs to go and clean up all those dislocated loss funds, get them back in shape, and put them in order for the carrier. One of the ones that we did in London, you're right, we found it was actually over £100 million that they had sitting out in the market that they had lost track of, and we were able to bring back under control, which meant that instead of it being off their balance sheet in somebody else's world, it's sitting in their world. They've got full control and transparency, and it becomes something that sits on their balance sheet instead of off of it.
Lost track of.
Yes.
What a shame. So I want to translate a little bit for the audience in case they don't understand. So you had a London insurer that's essentially working with claims TPAs, and, hurricane season's coming.
Yep.
These TPAs have check writing authority. They fill them up so they can write claims, and maybe there was a hurricane, and maybe they needed to be filled up again. Yep. And it goes around and around, and the accounting and the reconciliation becomes problematic, and literally they lost track of the funds.
Absolutely, because every single one of these carriers is dealing with a different counterparty that has a different model for closing off the bordereau to them. So some of them might give them a spreadsheet every month or quarter, some of them might give them an excerpt from a PDF, some of them might send an email. Excuse me. We give them a single system so that all of the TPAs, all of the funds can be monitored in a single place, which means that they have less funds sitting out in the market idly. They're using the funds that they've got optimally, and the net recipient of that is the customer who gets their funds paid quicker when the claim comes in and there's money ready to go.
Yeah. We had I wouldn't call it a drinking game, but we had over beverages with members of your team. We had a challenge of how do we describe what
alcohol-free drinking game? Knowing my team, I'm sure.
Yes. That's the case. And the term that I kept coming up with was Treasury management, but I'm not sure that will sell. But I think that kind of handles it. It comes down to the Treasury and comes down to making sure all funds to the penny are reconciled.
You're exactly right. You said earlier on, you were speaking to some of our team and talking about whether or not we're a payments business. We do payments and we do Treasury, and we think the two are inextricably linked. You've got to have the Treasury right in order to make the payments go out. If you've not got it matched to the dollar, it doesn't work.
It's a shame when you make payments and you cannot reconcile it back. It puts a gigantic hole in your financial statement.
It does, but sort of even worse. It means that you're leaving yourself open to not having the money there to pay it because you don't know that that money's been spent.
Yeah.
You've got too much money sitting somewhere else, so not using your capital optimally.
I think of it as like when it gets winter time and you put on your winter coat and you reach into the pocket and you find $100 bill that you left from the year before.
That's what it was like for the insurer when we came back with them and said there's more than 100 million to you. And actually, for that one insurer, we were given the plaudit of best value creation for their business that year. And this is a big business.
Yeah,
for us to beat the sort of, your stalwarts like your Salesforces and your Microsoft and be the best value creating software, that says a lot to us.
I just love those stories because the return on investment is magnitudes more than the cost.
Yeah, you're so right. And it's one of those areas that people typically don't really look at because these funds are sitting outside of their business. People will say, I got my treasury under control. And they probably do inside the business, but outside of the business, that's where we're operating.
Good point.
We're usually a nice surprise for people.
Good point. Okay, so parting question is prior guest has essentially wagered his entire net worth that India is going to win the World Cup in cricket. You're an Australian living in the UK. You must have an opinion on this.
He's wrong. Australia will win. I'm Australian first, not English. Australia will win.
So you hear it. I think we're going to have to bring all of the parties back together and kind of deconstruct what happened in that World Cup.
I will definitely do that and look forward to it. Look forward to speaking to you again.
Philip, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.